mind, change your money, change your life. I am Coach Rob Lee Simmons, the host of this podcast, and let me be your tour guide to greatness. If I was doing any better, I would be you. Welcome to the Greatness Academy podcast. I am here, man. And I spent all day with a great entrepreneur, great mentor, former service member, just all around, got it together. Mr. Jerome King Bill, how you doing, sir?
Feel like a champ.
Yeah. It's been a good day, man.
Great day. I really appreciate you coming down here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. 6-hour drive just to see me.
Yes, indeed. Worth every single second.
Making me feel special.
Every single second, man. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you grew up to where you are today. Just give us some nuggets.
Born in St. Louis, Missouri. We were in Missouri until I was about 5. Then my mom and dad moved to Denver, Colorado. My mom got into some trouble with the law. She went to prison. So I was set to live with my grandmother back in St. Louis while she did her time. She got out of prison, snatched me up. We moved to Austin, Texas. We were there for maybe 4 or 5 years, left there, moved to Columbia, South Carolina. I was in the 8th grade, moved to Columbia, South Carolina. We lived in the projects off of Percival Road. I'm smiling because memories called Turnberry. And then we left my junior year, Richmond Northeast High School. My mom just popped up out the blue. Yeah. Snatched me up again. And we moved to Florida. And Florida was just the beginning of the ugliness. And what I mean by that, for a long time, my mother was a functional crack addict. That time in Florida represent her complete downfall, where crack addicts get to a point where all they want to do is get high. That's what Florida represented. I graduated high school, but came home one day, she was just gone. Her and my sister were gone. I stayed in the house until the lights went out first. Came home, then the water was off. Came home, then I couldn't get in. You notice on the door. So I ended up actually homeless twice because of my mother's drug addiction. Excuse me. And then from homeless to the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And the Marine Corps for me was just perfect. There's no more perfect organization that I could have been recruited to. It was exactly what I needed at that moment in time in my life. My childhood was 100% unstructured. My mother allowed me to do anything. So 10th grade, I had girls staying the night sleeping with me. My mom, she didn't care. My mom introduced me to drugs, introduced me to alcohol, introduced me to fast money, introduced me to faster women.
Yeah.
So she played this role more of a cool friend than an actual mother. And I don't say that begrudgingly. She had me when she was 15 years old. So you got to understand, my mom was 30.
Yeah.
I was 15.
Yeah.
I had a gun. I was making money. I had a hustle. So I thought I was an adult, standing right next to my mom. And my childhood, the best way to describe it is turbo. But so many things that I had a fake ID. My first fake ID, I think I was 15, 16. So I got introduced to clubs. I was sleeping with older women, almost twice my age, because I was living a fast life in the streets. So I was sleeping with older women, had a gun, had money, driving rental cars, no license. They would get the cars for me. So it's just a lot of things that the streets introduced me to by the time I was 17. So I went from 100% unstructured, do whatever I want, to Marine Corps. In your face, you plan every minute of your day. You got goals, you got structure, you got responsibilities. You got other people depending on you. So it was a beautiful segue for me to get introduced into what I consider better than what I had.
What do you think is probably the best takeaway in your 10-year career in the military? What do you think was the best takeaway to where you are now that attributes to who you are there?
The Marine Corps is, I don't have any factual ratios, but when I was in, the Marine Corps is 96% white.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's beautiful about that, I never tasted racism when I was in the Marine Corps. I met some jacked up people,
Yeah.
but I would not be one to say they were racist. I just think they were dealing with whatever issues they were dealing with. And that ultimately led to them being not the nicest people to work with. But adaptability, you have to learn how to walk in the room and speak. Not agree with everyone, but speak. So what if everybody's white? Walk in the damn room and talk. I walk in the room, I shake hands with every man and woman in that room. I look every man and every woman in the face. Good afternoon, I'm Jerome Bell, or whatever rank I was.
Right.
Staff sergeant, sergeant, corporal. I'm Corporal Bell. How are you? Who are you? I learned to talk to everybody. White, Asian, Hispanic, it didn't matter. Adaptability. You do not know where the help is going to come from. We don't know if help is going to come from one person in the room, everybody in the room. But adaptability is the first word that comes to my mind. I learned ask for help. One of the reasons I ended up homeless, I was young. I don't blame myself, but I was young and I didn't want my mom to get in trouble. So it's not like her addiction was a secret, because there are two very specific places we live where my mom was like the neighborhood crackhead, which was, of course, some embarrassment that came from that. But the Marine Corps taught me to speak, whether that's asking for help or helping somebody else, whether that's saying something right, saying something wrong. The Marine Corps taught me speak and speak with integrity. So if somebody's listening to this, they're like, man, talking about his mom on drugs, that's
You
my
speak-
childhood.
yeah, you
Like,
just
that's
speaking
my
with
mom.
kids.
You can't have her. But it's the truth.
Yeah.
And so if I try to talk about my childhood without talking about my mom's drug addiction, that ain't even my childhood.
Right.
And I'm always talking about books I've read. So there's a book, Pastor Van Moody, talk about my favorite books. This book is in the top 10, The People Factor. Pastor Van Moody, he states, your story starts with your mom's story. And I thought that was very interesting that he said mom and not father, or he said mom, not parents. He said your story starts with your mom's story. And what's cool about that is I'm reading this book right now on psychology, the brain.
Yeah.
And what scientists have realized is that your mother, when she was an embryo developing in your grandmother's womb, she was already given a specific number of eggs. So your development was already taking place. It was just a matter of time before she would meet a man that would seed an egg that would ultimately become you. So now the time in between reading these two books might be 10 years, but I never forgot that statement. And now I'm reading this book on how the mind works. And as I'm reading this chapter on our development started inside of our mother when she was inside of her mother.
Yeah, that's insane.
So it makes sense that he would say your story starts with your mom's story. So whenever somebody asks me about my childhood, it's not that my father wasn't there or I didn't know him. My father is an amazing man, was an amazing man. But our story starts with our mom.
Yeah.
So anytime you talk about your childhood, you really need to be inclusive of your mother's representation.
Yeah, and I know today you spoke a lot about homelessness and being destitute, but at your time of homelessness, what was the point where you thought to yourself, this ain't it for me?
Two things: exposure. So my mom, even though most of my childhood was spent in the projects, there were certain times where my mom sent me, "You're gonna go stay with this aunt for the summer." Where that aunt owned her own home. That aunt had a backyard. That aunt had grass.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't see no grass. They call it the concrete jungle for a reason.
Right.
We played football on concrete.
Right.
So when you got tackled, it hurt.
Facts.
So exposure. I got to go stay with my Aunt Martha in Detroit, aunt on my father's side in Detroit one summer. She had this beautiful brownstone backyard. My cousins, she's cooking, grilling. I mean, it was just some great childhood memories. I got to go stay with an uncle for the summer. He owned his own home, backyard. So I was seeing things that other people in my family possessed. And by seeing and touching, I was like, oh, I want this.
Yeah.
Then I got to go back to the project. But I still hold on to the memories. Like, man, when I get older, I want a house like Aunt so-and-so. When I get older, I want to live in a neighborhood like Uncle so-and-so. So half of it was exposure, immediate physical exposure. The other half was book exposure. My father is a bookworm. I believe we do what we see our parents doing. So I always saw my father reading, and I want to be like my dad. So my earliest memories, I was reading Garfield. Like any money I was given, I was using at 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I was using my money to buy Garfield books.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Garfield books turned into encyclopedia and turned into Iceberg Slim, which is what's funny about Iceberg Slim is my mother never gave me a book except once, and it was Iceberg Slim. How to Be a Pimp. I don't know the exact title, but I got introduced into basically street novels. So we got Iceberg Slim, you got Donald Gowan. Then I started reading, at a very young age, I started reading the Bible. And I was reading the Bible, 8 years old. I was reading the Bible. And an aunt came to visit my mom. And she said, why are you reading that book? You don't even know what you're reading. And I was like, yes, I do. I know how to comprehend. So, I'm 6, 8 years old, but I was already using 3-syllable words, 5-syllable words.
Right.
I was already talking on a much higher level. But she did not like the idea of seeing me read this Bible. So she left, came back with a children's version. She snatched the Bible from me. She said, boy, read this. That's on your level. And that was the first time where I realized, oh man, books coming. Even though I was reading Garfield, you got to understand, I've always read multiple books at the same time. So I was reading Garfield, I was reading Iceberg Slim, I was reading the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I was reading the Bible. It was like this extensive variety. And then she gave me this children's book. But by the time she gave me this children's version of the Bible, I was like probably halfway through the Bible. So I felt shunned, like, okay, I'm young, I have all this knowledge, but I'm still a child. And so people are going to treat me like a child. And what I remember that specific event because I never wanted to be treated like that again. And so another aspect of my childhood, I was always with older people. I spoke on such a higher level. Like I told you, when I was 15, I was sleeping with women who was 26, 27.
Right.
17, sleeping with women 28, 29. So it's a huge gap in age, but I was giving them advice.
Right,
I was telling them, you got life insurance? I like the rims. I like insurance. Reading. You don't have the money to go to Hawaii, read a book on Hawaii. If the author, and most authors are, we write vividly. So I could read a book on Hawaii and close my eyes. And even though I never saw the ocean, I could feel the ocean. I could smell the salt because of the words that's in this book. To answer your question, half of it was exposure from being sent outside of the projects to know there is a world that exists outside the projects. And then the other half, I was constantly reading. And the more I read about how other people live, I wanted what other people had.
Yeah, so let me ask you about this, right? So you have this huge spectrum of transitioning from homelessness to the military. How did you get into accounting?
I dream in numbers. I was 10 years old. I was 9 years old. My mom got pregnant with my sister, and she married my sister's father. And after she had my sister, one day she got a chair. I was too short to see over the stove.
Yeah.
And she got a chair. She put me in a chair. She's like, I was like, okay. And so this how you do this how you. People always telling me how smart I was. So they would just put me in situations where they leave the room. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then my sister's born, and my mom says, learn how to cook. I'm taking this night job. I ain't gonna be here.
Right.
When you come home from school, I'm gonna be asleep. Don't wake me up. You get hungry, cook. And so my real first love was cooking. I got better and better and better. So I thought that I was going to have a future where I go to culinary school and cook. But I was really, really good at school, educationally. I was like a genius in school. I just coasted through school. I didn't get challenged in nothing in high school challenged me. I didn't get challenged for the first time education-wise until my junior year in college. But the teachers noticed my gift in math and started putting me in advanced math courses. And then all the reading, I ended up in advanced English courses. And then everything became advanced. And so I took an accounting course, 9th or 10th grade in high school. It just aced it. I just killed it. And all these kids were crying that this class was going to be so difficult. It was one of those many situations for me where I set the curve again. But I had a perfect. And like the next closest high score was like 79. And so he had to completely get rid of my grade just to help other people pass the class.
Yeah.
But math just naturally came to me. And the only reason why I didn't go to culinary school, because by the time I got to college, I was 21. I had 4 kids from 3 different women. And when I looked at culinary path, accounting paid faster.
Yeah.
Had kids to feed.
Yeah. You start doing the math, and the math made sense.
Right. But just numbers, anything with numbers. And I'm in love already.
Yeah.
I nerd like that.
Yeah. So tell me about, just set the stage for the listeners, right? Mm-hmm. So you have this accounting background. Now you have an accounting firm, but you're also like a huge, let me say, not over exaggeration, but a huge real estate investor in this area. Mm-hmm. Let's get to the origin of your first property and where did it start? And then how is it different from today and trying to get into the game?
I was in college. I was stationed in Tallahassee, Florida, in college, Florida A&M University. And I was taking an investing class and fell in love with the stock market. The professor broke us up into stock teams. And I learned about the stock market, it just blew me away. It was math, but you could make money.
Yeah.
I'm like immediate.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, this is amazing. So I fell in love with the stock market and just engrossed myself. My whole world revolved around CNBC. Marine Corps, we had to be at PT maybe 6 o'clock in the morning. I was up like 4:30 so I could catch an hour of CNBC before going to PT.
Yeah.
I'm like, when I say my whole world revolved around this one channel, the stock channel, my whole world revolved around it. And so I made some money. I took out a student loan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Took the student loan, put it in the stock market.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Not supposed to do that, but I did. I said, I'm about to boss up on,
Yeah.
on student loans, make a few $100,000, pay them back. And I had the whole thing planned out in my head.
Yeah.
I ain't make that much. I did make some money, some good money. And I went back to my professor. I said, hey, I did everything I learned. This is the money I made. What do I do now? Should I just keep buying stocks and try to double this money? What should I do now? And so he said, what do you see in your future? I said, I came to college to learn how not to work. And he was like, what? I said, I came to college to learn how not to work. Getting a job is for suckers. I don't want no job when I leave here.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, Mr. Investor, if you want to add to your investment portfolio, look at real estate. I said, should I get a real estate license? He said, no. Invest. Buy a house for $20,000. Spend $10,000 fixing it up. Sell it for $50,000. You just made $20,000. It wasn't even called flipping yet. I started in 1997. So the word flipping wasn't what we used. He was like, yes, it's wholesaling houses. I was like, wholesale houses? He said, he put out a pack of gum. He said, I paid $3 for this pack of gum. But the convenience store, the manufacturer probably paid 99 cents. They just marked up the price. I bought it. They made their money. He said, you're doing the same thing with real estate. You buy it low, just like you bought the stock. But with this, you're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to make some repairs to bring up the value. And then you sell it for retail. It's the same thing. So I was like, all right, I'll take a look at it. So I found a realtor who specialized in investing. Now, that's important for your listeners. Not every realtor knows investing in real estate. A realtor is someone who's been trained in sales. Some of them specialize in representing buyers. Some of them specialize in representing sellers. Not all realtors know investing. Be very careful. They gonna lie and say they do.
Yeah.
But if you ask them, you learn enough, you ask them some questions, you'll know who's lying and who's telling the truth.
Right.
Find a realtor who specializes in investment property. I found one and he helped me, but something that's it's one of those things I look back on and go, oh man, they took advantage of me. But it turned out good.
Yeah.
So I was not adept in how loans go. I wasn't. When I sat down with this loan officer, he ran my credit score. He's got 809 credit scores. I'm like, okay. And he asked me a question that changed everything. He said, you came here to buy one house. How many houses do you really want to buy? And so I was like, what does that mean? How many houses? Wait. You know who you talking to? That's because he was thinking about himself completely. I realized that later. Prior to the 2008 market crash, loan officers got paid bonuses on the number of loans they could push out.
Yeah.
They didn't really care if you could afford the payment. It was just they were incentivized to close a loan or not, to your detriment or not. So when he saw those scores, we had programs back then, NINA, no income, no assets. We had a program called Stated. Now, when I explain this, you're not going to believe me, but it's the truth. Any loan officer that's been in the business prior to 2008 will verify what I'm about to tell you. So a stated loan program means I could go outside, find a home, don't even matter how much it costs, and the loan officer would state the income I needed to make to qualify for the house. That's why it's called stated.
Yeah.
But they didn't check to see if I had a job.
Oh, wow.
They didn't care back then.
Oh. They were just trying to close and get paid.
That's how the program was depicted. You state whatever that person gonna need to qualify that house to get it closed. You get it?
Yeah.
MENA, no income, no assets. Mean they didn't even ask for a bank statement. They didn't ask if you had any money. Back then, I could buy houses with my signature. You just needed a high enough credit score and your signature. You get as many houses as you wanted. So I look back on 1997. I'm 22 years old. I just met the right people. They took advantage of me. They did. I have to speak on that. Y'all took advantage of me.
It worked out. It worked out.
It worked out.
Yeah.
It worked out because I'll tell you about another long program that's going to blow you away. Then I'm going to finish that statement. Got another program where a house is worth $100,000, but I can buy it for $20,000. The bank would give me 70% of the value up front when I bought the house. So it's worth 100. I can get 70,000. It's 20,000. So at closing, I would walk away from the table with 50 G's.
That's insane.
It's beautiful. And it's beautiful if you have honest intent.
Right.
So I took the 50,000 and I fixed the house up and then I rented it. I believe part of the 2008 market crash is you had 1 million people who took the money and then walked away.
Yeah.
They never fixed the house. They never even made a payment on the house. They heard about the program. They milked it for as much as they could, and then they hauled butt.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think the market crashed. But those programs existed. And for me, every house was an ability to increase my residual monthly income. That first investment property, first rental, I might have netted $330 a month. The next one, $200. The next one, $90, but $90 because I walked away with 50 grand at the closing table. And it was just consistency. And one day I realized, man, the Marine Corps is paying me $4,800 a month. 5 more houses, I'll be at like 8 grand a month. I can get out the Marine Corps. And so it became, let me replace my salary with investment income. And then I don't have the stress of having to work.
Right.
I can sit back and work when I feel like it. I can sit back and start looking at other things I want to do with my time. 15 years of rental property accumulation, I moved over to flipping homes. And that was exciting for me because I was a much smarter real estate investor by the time I started flipping houses. I can honestly say the first maybe 5 to 6 years of buying houses, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just telling myself, do it anyway.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out later. And the numbers made sense. I was making money, but I still was missing something. So I say that to say, as long as it cash flows, keep moving, keep moving. Accumulation is the key. And it's accumulation over a long period of time. So in 15 years, at the end of 15 years, my residual income was somewhere around $22,000, $24,000 a month. Residual income. As long as the tenants pay rent, I had 24 G's. For me, I'm not talking about I still got to make a mortgage payment. No.
Right.
My residual, the mortgage is paid. I got 24 G's in the bank. So about a 10th of the month, I got 24 G's in it.
Yeah.
So I'm now my entire life, post Marine Corps, my entire life looks different. Now I'm only working 10 days a month, except tax season, because I do have the tax firm. So outside of tax season, I'm only working 10 days a month. So now I'm traveling around the world. I'm going to conferences. I'm networking. I'm perfecting my networking skills. I'm perfecting my partnering skills with other investing or real estate investors. And it's a process. A real estate investment is not overnight success. I don't care what reality TV show you watch. None of that crap is real. This is a game of consistency at the end of the day.
Yeah, big deal. So tell me, and I know they probably want this is I love this is for context. From it's like the catch the hook of the show, right? From homelessness to millionaire, right? When did you make your first million? And then how did that reflect upon how you felt, who you were based off of when you made that first million?
I love that question. This is the lesson. Don't ever attach your identity to money. I don't care how much it is. Don't even celebrate money. Celebrate the journey that led you to it. And I keep my focus, I keep my celebration on the journey. The money doesn't matter. That's a distraction. If you celebrate money, first of all, it takes a long time to make that million.
Yeah.
From start to finish, it took me 11 years to make my first $1 million. A lot of mistakes, a lot of education, a lot of failure. If you focus on the journey, it can be a smooth ride. Even when it's bumpy, it's a smooth ride. But if you start looking at the money, that's where the stress comes in. That's where the anxiety attacks come in. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it takes a long time to make it, but then it leaves really, really fast. So if your focus is on the money now, when it's leaving, you're going into depression because you're like, man, it took so long to make it. What nobody told me when I became a millionaire, my bills were going to get bigger.
Yeah.
So you think, man, when I make $1 million, I'm going to do it. Your light bill ain't the same.
Yeah.
I done changed addresses. That light bill guy, another digit in it. Sometimes that light bill got a comma in it. And I look at it and I go, man, everything costs more, but you get spoiled. And I spoil, and I'm happy that I'm able to spoil myself. I deserve it.
Yeah.
But what I like to say is when I was working at Long John Silver, my boy Chris, we would get paid. We go get a room and live. Thought we was on top of the world.
Yeah.
$99,
Be no problem, baby.
$29.99. We had our 40 ounces. Cashed our check. Had our pocket full of money. You couldn't tell us nothing. Now I'm staying at the Ritz Carlton.
Yeah. A little bit different.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
And so that hotel bill looked different.
Yeah.
It looks a whole lot different. And we got to take time to celebrate the journey, Robert, not the money.
Yeah.
I can honestly say, and I learned that from all the reading men and women who've been there way before me, who've written autobiographies and biographies. I've tried to absorb as much wisdom from them as I could. And there was two things that are repetitive, no matter the race, no matter the gender. People said two things. One, I wish I would have invested in real estate sooner. They all said that. I wish I would have invested in real estate sooner. That's number one. And number two, I wish I didn't focus on money so much, but instead the journey. So those not even my words. I'm just trying to live off the wisdom of those who came before me.
Right. No, that's good. As a real estate investor, you added another slash in there. So slash real estate developer, right? On this most recent project, we're not going forward. We here in the project. Yeah. Tell me, how did that pan out? When did the vision first start? And tell me about the development of the project.
I was sitting in my office on Rayford Road, and a host, Joe Fogg, came to my office and he said, what if I showed you a deal you can make millions, but I want $64,000. It was something like that. Maybe 50,000. But I said, I can make millions. He said, you can make millions, but I want this wholesale fee. So I said, of course, man. Where is it? So he gave me the information. I said, give me 4 hours. So he gave me the information. Usually, I don't leave my office when I look at a deal. I just go to Google Maps. You can see anything on Google Maps. And then there's 3 other websites I use. Usually, between Google Maps and the other 3 websites, within 2 to 3 hours, I'll know yes or no if I want a house for a project. He said millions.
Yeah.
Ran to my truck.
Let me go see.
My truck, I have to see with my own. I got to touch this one. So Adams Street was the 2nd highest crime neighborhood in all of Fayetteville, North Carolina, right? So I come on Adams Street and see the drug boys. I see the meth heads. I see the prostitutes. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. They walking back and forth on the street, breasts out, thong, high heels, like they chasing cars. It was crazy. I'm like, man, where did I go? Is this down Fayetteville? I didn't even know about Adams Street until Joe walked in with this deal. But I pulled over. I'm from the projects, so it didn't scare me. It was home.
Yeah.
There was a relevance to it where I was like, oh, okay, I know where I'm at. So I got out the truck. I wasn't scared at all. I got out the truck. I looked at everything and I said, I'm going to build my apartments here. Just like that. In my mind, I flattened everything. And then I saw my apartments rise off out of the ground. And I said, this is it. This is it. I went back to my office. I called Joe. I said, hey, come get your money. I'm going to give you a deposit. You get the rest whenever I close. I explained everything to him. The city has to approve this. The city don't approve this. But there's no deal. But I will give you this much money. Give me time to work the politics and go through the permitting process. And as soon as I get an approval of the permit, which took a year, but I'll give you the rest of the money. So I saw the vision as soon as I got over here. There's a book by Stephen Oates, Let the Trumpet Sound. I cried like a baby at the end of the book. It's a biography on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We know how his story ends.
Yeah.
I'm still crying. The book is so well written. I'm a very emotional moment when I finished that book. But Let the Trumpet Sound by Stephen Oates. There's a chapter in there where, and I apologize, let me back up. Stephen Oates is a life photographer. So he was assigned to Dr. King to follow him around. And so he got to experience some intimate moments with Dr. King leading up to his death. He has a chapter in the book where he says, whenever Dr. King went into a city to give a speech, he'd arrive 2 days early. He would arrive 2 days early specifically to drive around to the street thugs, the drug dealers, the pimps, the gangsters. He would go into their homes. He would go into their trap house and he would look them in the face and say, I'm giving a speech on this day. I need you not to sell drugs on this one day. And I need you to keep my black ass alive. He didn't go to the police.
Yeah.
He didn't go to the governor.
Yeah.
He didn't go to the mayor. You understand what I'm telling you? To the streets. I thought that was amazing and humbling for a man of his stature to go to people classified the lowest element on the totem pole, right, in our society. Pimps, drug dealers, gangsters, and ask them for their help. But when I read that chapter, there was something, that voice inside my head said, remember this. Remember this chapter right here. I didn't know why, but that foresight, that voice in our conscience, it said, you better remember this one.
Yeah.
And so back to Adams Street Apartments. I put on a nice suit. I put together this flyer. I went door to door to every person who lived on Adams Street to introduce myself. I wanted to shake their hand, let them know who I am, sit on the couch and talk to them. I say the drug house for last.
Yeah.
I worked politics. I worked the neighborhood. I smiled. I shook hands. My name is Jerome Bell. This is what I want to do. Mr. Bell, if you buy this neighborhood, are you going to tear everything down? Yes.
Absolutely.
I have
However,
to.
yeah.
I have to. But what I'm going to give you back is so much better than how you live today. I didn't lie about anything. I told everybody the truth. And I said, it's going to take some time. Please, I'm not going to buy this and you got to leave next week. We're talking at least a year. So it was like, oh, okay. I said, I'm going to keep you posted. I'm even give you some money when you leave to help with the transition. Talk to everybody, right? I was walking toward the drug house, and they were watching me. Trust me. They was watching me very closely. And so when I went to walk toward the drug house, some boys jumped up off the porch, and they had some harsh words. Repeat.
Yeah.
But they was like, nah, bro, don't come over here with that. And so I said, I gotta come over there. I said, whoever y'all work for, my name is Jerome N. I'm getting ready to buy the whole neighborhood. I need to talk to your boss. I ain't going nowhere. Like, we have to have a conversation. And so they said some something.
Yeah.
And basically it was like, get the F out of here. You ain't talking to nobody, get out of here. But I know the game. They're not in a position to make any decisions, but they do have to relay what took place to somebody else they work for.
Right.
I was going out there like every other day, like literally spending time just sitting on the porch, talking to the people who live there, okay? Making sure they knew who I was. This is how I grew up. I know y'all. No, I'm not scared. Yeah, I come in and have a drink with you. Yeah, what you want to talk about today? How you feel? Working politics, working the neighborhood. I'm getting ready to displace all of these people. You understand? But I need to be humane about what I'm about to do. And that's, for anybody that's confused, that's the humanity factor in it.
You're right.
I spent time with them. I saw how they were living. And so I was over there one day and I got up to leave. When I got up to leave, 16 men walking toward me. So I stopped and they surrounded me, made a circle around me, and I just waited. And so the boss, he came in the circle and he was like, what are you doing? Why are you here? So I talked to him. I said, look, bro, I'm about to buy this. This is what I'm going to do. I need you to know I'm going to own this.
Right.
Like, I'm going to, not a white man, not a major corporation. This is like my life's money is about to go into this neighborhood. This is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it. Dr. King, show humility, didn't ask for help. I said, listen, my construction project cannot be successful without your blessing. It's not going to happen. I'm standing in front of you asking permission to build these apartments on Adams Street. On any day of the week, I'm going to have $500,000 in construction supplies laying on the ground. It's going to be a fence up, but it ain't stopping nobody. I said, bro, I need your protection. This is my money. From one black man to another. Yeah. I'm not going to be successful without your help. So he thought about that, man. He said, how much time you going to give me? I said, no, sir. How much time you going to give me? I'm asking for your blessing. So he was like, damn, 3 months? Can you wait 3 months? I said, hey, man, if you say 3 months, then nothing happens for 3 months. He was gone 3 weeks later. Wow. That man left, and when he left, everybody left.
Yeah.
Drug boys, the prostitutes, the meth heads, the crack, everybody left.
Wow.
I did not have one problem. From start to finish to today,
Nothing.
not one problem.
That's a blessing, man.
Zero. Zero.
That's a blessing.
It was something about reading that chapter that voice in my head said, remember this. And then when the moment arose, I recognized. So I might have to go ask this man to help me.
Yeah. Just think about this though. You have this, it's just a gift of creativity. A lot of it sounds like it came from the books. How much does this creativity bleed over into the avenues of the other things that you do to include in designing?
Everything. Absolutely everything. I walked into a dilapidated house and it felt like I was levitating.
Yeah.
In my mind, I saw the house collapse right before my eyes. In my mind, a new house rose. I was only in the house 30 seconds. I knew paint color I was going to use. I knew what type of interior doors I wanted. I knew what type of plumbing fixtures I wanted. I could see the light fixtures. I could see the kitchen already built. And that never happened to me before. It was a spiritual moment for me. It felt like I was levitating. I rebuilt that entire house in 30 seconds and did it in my mind. And so being able to take it out of my head and bring it to fruition was, you talk about doing something I could do every day and the money wouldn't matter. Real estate, the ability to design real estate, it's a gift. There are contractors I've been working with 15, 16 years. They're still in awe when they work with me. They still ask me, how do you do this? Nobody is doing this. How then they just turn around and walk off. Like,
Yeah. They're like, you didn't give me the answer I needed.
But it's a need. It can't be something I learned because I didn't even try to go learn design. It's just something inside of me that it's a spiritual essential experience that once I have the ability to rehab a house, I take it serious. And I really try to give people something they never seen before. That's the important. I'm not scared of playing with colors. I'm not scared of doing something nobody else is doing. All of my rental properties have a bar. I drink. I like to drink. And I was sitting back thinking, what's going to be my R factor? What's going to separate my product from yours? Right? I'm going to do a bar. And I do it in the way so that if you walked into the house and said, I don't drink, it's still not bar specific that you need.
Yeah.
You could still do water or wine or soda. I don't go overboard. I'm not forcing you to use that wall for liquor. But you can see that, oh, I have this space. No other house has this right here. I specifically said rental property because one of the things that was taught when I was going through training 2 decades ago, but it's still being taught that I do not like. A lot of investors make a distinction with how much money they spend on a flip versus a rental property. You're wrong. When people hire me to train them on how to rehab a house, whether it's for flipping or rental property, the analogy I like to use is, let's come up with a brand for the Simmons name. Okay, let's come up with a brand. Let's start with branding. What do you want people to see when they walk in your home? If your brand is Kia, that's fine. We're going to make sure you maintain a Kia budget until, if you decide 4 years from now, 5 years from now, all right, I'm done with the Kia brand. I want to move up to Lexus. We can move up. But I think you need to think about your real estate as a representation of extension of who you are. this is going to be a King Bell product.
Yeah.
I needed to say King Bell when you walk through the front door.
Yeah.
I needed to say that. And because I needed to say that, it's going to have luxury vinyl tile. It's going to have ceramic tile from the edge of the tub to the ceiling. I'm not going to stop halfway to save money. I hate when I see that stupid stuff. You're going to have top of the line cabinetry, top of the line light fixture. That it's a statement, but it's a brand because it's an extension of who I am as a person. You're going to know my signature when you look at my houses. If you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my properties, you walk out, you'll be able to walk in the house and go, Mr. Bell didn't do this one.
Yeah.
He did not do this one.
Yeah.
And then you walk into another and go, okay, this is right. And that's what my quote unquote following. That's what they tell me all the time. I want to move from your house, but every time I go look at other rental property, it don't got that same feel.
Yeah.
That King Bell, it ain't there. I got to renew my lease.
It's just a different tier, right?
Big time. But I think that if you look at investing in real estate from a branding standpoint, what do you want your name to say? People will take it more seriously. And they'll stop trying to distinguish, well, I'm going to spend $40,000 because it's going to be a rental. I'm going to spend $80,000 because it's a flip. No, spend 80 on the rental and 80 on the flip.
Yeah, that's really good. And talk about creativity. I think for me, it would just be dumb to ask you, why do you like to read books so much? Because you explained that through this entire episode. What I want to do is transition into really from the creativity of the buildings into the creativity of your own books. So the Mayor Can't series, where did you start conceptualizing the idea for this book? And then can you tell us a little bit about the first book?
I never woke up and said, I want to write a book. Never did that. I have written probably 17 books, unpublished. So I probably got another 15 to come.
Yeah.
So far, I'm still on that. But what happens with me, talking about creativity, most of the time I be sleeping. And I literally will wake up out of my sleep and go sit down in front of my laptop.
You start crushing.
It's all in there. It just comes out. And so it could be positive or negative energy, but whatever goes on in the subconscious get pushed to the conscious, and I just get in front of that laptop. Sometimes I be typing and reading what I'm typing, like where it's going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like the books come through me, not I created the books. I feel like the books are being given to me. With the Mayor Can't, two things happened. Kobe Bryant died. Kobe Bryant was going to be I wish I knew the name of the series. He was going to be a speaker in the series. Serena Williams did it the year prior. Then it was Kobe that year. And when he died, for me, it was stop procrastinating on your creativity and start publishing. So Kobe died. That was a visceral effect for me emotionally. And I remember getting in my truck and had something called morning motivation. So every morning you get sent a 5 to 12 minute video motivation, right?
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. So I'm down. I'm thinking about Kobe Bryant is dead. No. So I need some more. I need some motivation. I need a pick me up.
Yeah.
And so push play, and now I'm just sitting in my truck, man. And Dr. Miles Monroe was the speaker. You know who that is?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Powerful brother.
Yeah.
Powerful brother. And so Dr. Miles Monroe, his voice comes through the speaker and he says, I know a secret place that's filled with unpublished books. And I said, no.
You're looking at my computer.
And that was just exact words.
Yeah.
And so he goes on and on. It even has music you never heard before. It's written. The books, they already written. The music, it's written. I got books, I got music. He said the poetry is written. A book on poetry. Like, what? I'm staring at the radio. I'm like, what? Like, he's talking to me.
Yeah.
And he says, their secret place is the cemetery. And I was like, oh. And so I just sat and I listened to Dr. Miles Monroe. And I said, okay, let me get off my ass. I got all these books I wrote, music, poetry, I wrote. I don't want to, and nobody ever read something that I created.
Yeah.
So that's that. George Floyd, I watched George Floyd's murder. Let me say this, I didn't have a television for almost 15 years. So for a long, because all I do is read. Like,
Right.
I don't even want a television in my home. I'm just consumed with books. I started getting text messages. You need to find a TV. This man is being killed. You need to, like, different people, like, they knew I didn't have a television. So they was like, yo, you need to find a TV. Like, this a black man is being murdered on television. So I witnessed the execution of George Floyd, and I was so damn angry. And I was sitting down, and I remember this black woman cursed me out. And we were talking, and she just jumped up and she said, why do you read so much? Like in just this real ugly, nasty, demeaning manner.
Yeah.
And the question confused me, really. And I don't even remember how I responded, but for some reason I heard her voice. Why do you read so much? So I'm angry. I hear this woman ask that question, and I walked over to my laptop, and George Floyd's execution, my interpretation of George Floyd's execution is the black race was still slaves. We are not American. I served 10 years in Marine Corps. I'm a student of American history. I'm telling you right now, actions speak louder than words.
For sure.
You can tell me whatever you want. Black people killing black people. White people killing black people. Everybody's killing black people. But you got to ask a question. Why is it so easy to kill us? If we are Americans and we have rights, shouldn't we be treated like Americans with rights? It's easy to kill something that you think is a thug. Mm-hmm. It's easy to kill something that you think is a monster. Mm-hmm. The Clintons called us super thugs. So when you give all these adjectives to a human being in a demeaning manner just because we're born black, it makes it much easier to extinguish us.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So in trying to make sense of observing my race being extinguished, we get the worst medical treatment in this country. We get the worst housing. We get the worst interest rates whenever we take out a loan. We get the worst education. We get the worst everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
But so how are we American? And why are we being treated differently just because of the color of our skin? So I thought about all the books on slavery that I've read, books on American history, and I said, how do I vent my frustration with this execution of a black man that I just witnessed? How do I share what America has done to us in slavery, but at the same time do it in a manner that you don't put the book down?
Oh, yeah.
How do I do that?
Yeah.
And so I came up with American, the Corporate Plantation, my depiction of what it means to be black in a country that has no respect for black anything.
Yeah, that's this one for everybody watching.
And so I did it in an entertaining manner. And what I mean by that, and I believe you can be angry, but not write an angry book.
Mm-hmm.
You can be black, but not write a black book.